Hey everyone, this is Bronson, also known as Cookie on Sword of Justice. Today I'm going to show you how to get more DPS on Numina. Before we get started, I want to be clear, this is not the absolute highest DPS setup possible. I'm still learning more about the game every day as I play it. That said, what I'm going to show you will give you a significant DPS increase, especially if you're stuck or unsure how to improve. The reason I'm making this video is because there really aren't any English guides on YouTube that explain a proper Numina rotation. Most of us are just copying images or rotations from Chinese videos without fully understanding why they work. So today, I'm going to break that down and explain the reasoning behind the rotation so you can actually understand what you're doing and improve from there. Okay, so to get started, we're going to be looking at our skills. So press Y if you're on PC. If you're using mobile, just follow along. So first, let's talk about our ultimate skill. We are going to be taking Sword Storm Blossoms. Sword Storm Blossoms gives you damage amplification. So that means getting extra damage and more DPS. For the hero skill, we are going to be taking Rise of the Blade. It's a hammer skill. Well, you just use a hammer on an anvil and do it 6 times. The more you do it, the more DPS you get, up to 6 times. And finally, we are going to be taking Tiger Strike. This gives 15 seconds of DPS. So you can see these 3 skills alone literally just increase your DPS. You got Sword of Blossoms with damage amplification, Tiger Strike with more damage, and this hammer skill with even more damage. Okay, so now let's talk about the school skills. First, on the very far right, I've got Soul Disperse. For my burst, I've got Dream Shatter. The one in the middle here is Dryfold Heart Link. The second one to the bottom is Goo Gather, and the very first one here is Spirit Ring. Okay, now let's talk about auto combo. If you're comfortable with your manual skills or you want to just try practicing doing manual, go ahead. But for me, I prefer to use auto combo with a combination of manual. So basically, I have just my damage skills on auto combo. So this one, and this one, right? We've got Spirit Ring, Dream Shatter, and Trifold Heart Link on auto combo. And then we have everything else on manual. And we have Tiger Strike as well on auto combo. Tiger Strike is pretty much instant skill, and it just gives you more damage, and it only lasts 15 seconds, so I just don't want to think about it. So I just let that on auto combo. Everything else though, I leave for manual, because some of these skills are very important for timing as part of your rotation. So let's take a look at Sword Storm Blossom skills. So when you're in your martial arts menu and you click the ultimate skill, you'll notice that damage amplification doesn't come by default. You do need to get it to level 2. So just make sure that you get this book to level 2, okay? And when you do have it to level 2, you do get the damage amplification buff. So very important that you have this one at level 2, or otherwise known as refined. Okay, let's talk about willpower. So real quick, you're going to want 3 metal and 3 fire. So these triangle things here, and then this fire thing here, you're going to want 3 and 3. Now, you're really at the mercy of RNG, especially if you're not bidding for the rare willpowers. You just gotta hope and pray that you get the right combos. I've tried so much, and I've gotten a lot of bad RNG, getting like water and wood and useless elements that I don't need in my build. So do what you need to get to 3 and 3. Now, I have this 6 metal here. This isn't exactly the best because this has no effect, but I'm just doing it to get the 3 and 3. Of course, I could just replace it and maybe do 3 fire and 2 metal and get the effect, but I'm not really worried about it. I'm just going to replace it when I do get something actually good. So don't worry if your willpowers aren't perfect, but you just want to try your best to get 3 fire and 3 metal, okay? So the 3 fire increases your school damage and it does burn damage. The metal increases your crit rate and your crit damage. So you can see, okay, more crit, more damage, right? So you're going to do more damage having these 2, and then don't bother with the other ones because the other ones are like support, tank, and whatever. Okay, so that's 3 metal and 3 fire for willpower. So let's get started with that. So first, press escape and go to guild and return to guild territory. We're going to be going to the arena. Now let's walk through the guild territory and talk to this guy. And take me to the trial arena. And next, we're going to go into our own instance. So let's talk to this trial guide and click start the challenge. So this is a good place to test your DPS and to practice because you can instantly reset your skills cooldown and also summon the boss dummy and reset and track your DPS. Let's talk about the most important thing regarding DPS on the Numina class. The most important thing is here is the Toxling Bar. When the Toxling Bar is maxed up, that's when you get like little meteor showers coming out and doing extra damage. So let me just show you an example of that. I'm going to enable Toxling Burst, which automatically fills it up. So let's do it. Okay, and then you can see little meteors are coming down. Okay, reset that. All right. So you always want to sustain this bar to the maximum, and you want to keep it max or active, rather, as much as possible. So when you're casting skills, this will fill up. Okay. Or whenever you cast this, will automatically fill it up to the max. So you want to kind of balance this skill Toxling Burst with your other skills that fill it up and time it correctly so that you can kind of like go back and forth between them. There will never really be 100% uptime, but you can try to keep it up as much as you can. Okay, so before we do that, let's talk about our puppet. We have two puppets. We've got this guy here, and if you hold down Q, you have this girl. So you do not want to start with this guy. Always go with the girl. So just make sure you have the girl open, and let me explain why. The girl will duplicate your skills, and it does reduce damage, but it will help fill your Toxling Bar. So make sure you have this girl out before you do anything, because you want her to help you fill this Toxling Bar. Now what the guy does is he just auto attack, and it doesn't really help that much with filling the Toxling Bar. But don't worry, you will have two puppets up, because what happens when you have your Toxling Bar open? Both your puppets will come up. So depending on which one you have, you'll just get the opposite one out. So for filling the Toxling Bar, you always want to have this girl up and let this guy come out during Toxling Burst. Okay, now what is the best way to fill this bar besides using this skill, right? This will automatically pull it up to the max. We want to use this Soul Disperse skill. So this will fill up the Toxling Bar pretty quick. When we have our puppet out, she will help us because she will shoot that out with us. So let's try it. So you can see the Toxling Bar fills up almost about halfway. Now, if you don't have her up, it'll fill up just about a quarter and that kind of stuff. And not only that, she will mimic your other skills and pretty much help fill this Toxling Bar pretty quick. So just make sure you have her up. Okay, now we are gonna discuss the rotation. Is that everything? Okay, so for the rotation, as I mentioned earlier in the video, you have Sorcerer Blossom, Tiger Strike, and the Hammer skill. So make sure your Hammer skill is maxed out to level 6. Okay, and you can use Vitality Recovery to get that to 6 quicker if you need to. Okay, so remember, Sorcerer Blossom has damage amplification, so we're gonna go with that first. So before you DPS, just make sure your first damage skill you're gonna use is this one, but we can just go ahead and Tiger Strike just for DPS purposes. Okay, so I'm gonna Tiger Strike, and then you're gonna watch my rotation. So I am going to Sorcerer and Blossom, and then immediately do the Toxling Burst skill so that I can fill up that bar right away. And when all these other skills are on cooldown, let's go ahead and use the Burst skill here. And then just keep going and just keep auto comboing as I'm doing. And then once that's down, use the Sustain to help fill that up. And you can see it's going up real quick. And then boom, you have your Toxling Bar back up again. And you just keep autoing and then burst. Okay, and then keep autoing. Okay, great. Now let's sustain again. Let's fill up that bar. And then as you can see, we have our Sorcerer and Blossoms up again. So let's just activate that and use a skill to get out of that. And let's continue doing that. And as you can see on the top right, I've got about 80,000 DPS. And that's pretty dang good. Okay, now we're gonna do this again, sustain. So we can fill that up. And then boom, it's really simple, especially with the auto combo that I mentioned earlier. Now you can see we have our Toxling Burst up again. So what that means is that once this bar is down, we can just activate it right away. And then boom. You can see I'm still sustaining 80,000 DPS. Absolutely fantastic. Now we can just do our Toxling Burst and then boom, fill it up again. So that's pretty much it, guys. As you can see, we've got about 80,000 DPS. Absolutely fantastic. So just make sure that you follow this rotation and you will be absolutely doing way more DPS than you've been doing if you don't know what you were doing before. Okay, and if you already knew what you're doing, hopefully you picked up some information about the rotation that I just showed you, or maybe any other information that I shared. So yeah, thank you guys so much. This is Bronson, otherwise known as Cookie and Sword of Justice. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you have any suggestions for improving DPS, feel free to leave something in the comments about that. If you appreciate it, please like the video and subscribe. Thank you so much.